Hi folks, I'm Richard Friedman, and this is November 16th, 2020 of my Trump cartoon countdown for the week based upon popularity on Twitter. And every week we do the Trump cartoon countdown, and now people are asking me, Rich, what are you going to do when, if or when or whatever, Trump is no longer president of the United States? And I say to them, well, I'll give you one guess what my next book is going to be, and you can take it from there, and that's going to be the greatest book of political cartoons on the Joe Biden presidency. So I already have a little practice of doing that for when President Obama was president. He was the vice president. I had done a number of cartoons on the vice president at that time, along with President Obama. So, and I go back to former President Bush, and been doing it right along. This is the first time that I did a book, started doing books, basically. So, anyway, just give you a background. So, there won't be probably not as many, but they'll be coming, they'll be rolling along. I guess so. I hope so. Whatever. I wish him the best. Wish President-elect Biden the best. But there's always room for humor somewhere. So anyway, here we go. This is the Trump cartoon countdown for November 16th, 2020. And here is based upon popularity on Twitter. Okay. Here we go we're going from the least popular to number one. Okay, Chinese, they're all winners, but some do extraordinary, so we leave them for the last. Okay, Chinese President Xi Jinping ponders President Donald Trump below tweet that targets a company called Dominion Voting Systems, which without any evidence he claims tampered with millions of electronic ballots. So here is President Trump's tweet. Trump report, Dominion deleted 2.7 million Trump votes nationwide. So that's a tweet, and President Xi is reacting to that, and he's saying this beat Trump 2017 most beautiful piece of chocolate cake back in Mar-a-Lago. He's reminiscing about Mar-a-Lago in 2017, and he's thinking to himself, over here, this is better than that. This beat that, because again, here you have a situation where the intelligence is telling President Trump basically that there's no animal as this. There's no evidence of this, and he's defying it. And so a good portion of the country is defying the intelligence and protesting. So why should they listen why should the people, almost half the people aren't going to listen to the intelligence reports? So it's a chocolate cake for President Xi, and he's reminiscing about that one in 2017 with President Trump. There's a tweet, President Xi at his desk, and here's President Xi reminiscing at his Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida. The trees, palm trees, and birds, and chocolate cake. Okay. Now this is a couple of days after the election. Kevin McCarthy, Representative House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, went on Fox News, and he basically said that President Trump won this election, so everyone who's listening, do not be quiet. We cannot allow this to happen before our very eyes. So here's North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, watching Kevin McCarthy on Fox News saying this, and here he goes. Here's the start of the sequence. Here goes. Let's see American election news. He takes his remote. Let's see what's happening in America on the election today. And then he sees Kevin McCarthy up there on the screen. Okay, and then he says, Marshall Kim, listen. He's saying, well, everyone who's listening, do not be quiet. So the leader, North Korea, is listening. He's listening, all right. And he says, Marshall Kim, listen, give President Trump Sunday job as Grand Marshal of Great Military Parade for New Missile. So he's going to, I don't know if he has a parade for new missile, but if he had it already, he'll probably have another new missile pretty soon. So he'll have another parade and invite President Trump to get back into the crowd. He'll be missing the crowds, he figures. So he'll get him the crowds of North Korea walking as a Grand Marshal with North Korean leader down as the Grand Marshal of the parade. Anyway, President Trump always wanted a military parade in Washington. He never had it. So I guess he's thinking that way. I mean, that's the scheme of the cartoon anyway. Yeah. Okay. It's going to give him a Sunday job as a Grand Marshal in a parade to celebrate a new missile. Okay. Now here's an interesting cartoon. Now President Trump is a little annoyed with his legal team because they haven't come forth with the results, and they haven't come forth with evidence of any kind of malfeasance or the votes being slanted or manipulated. So he wants a better legal team, something like what George W. Bush had when he went to the Supreme Court. He wants a real high caliber team, a dream team, let's say, a dream team of lawyers in that caliber. So he's not happy. This is reportedly not happy with his current legal team. So here he puts up a legal team wanted sign on the White House lawn. There's the White House. Here's the sign. Legal team wanted, experienced in high-profile election recounts, able to do what's needed to show widespread fraud, must be loyal to President Donald J. Trump, a must. Be strong and ignore all FBI conclusions. You can't take any U.S. intelligence conclusions at all. You can't accept that. And work with my very loyal and patriotic Republican supporters, another must. No affiliation with Democrats. Affiliated with Democrats, that's a no-no, There, have that. Okay. Now, Trump Titanic dream, You ever see the movie The Titanic when he's saying, I'm the king of the world, and he has his arms outspread like that? Well, here's President Trump's version of I'm the king of America. Basically, Trump Titanic dream, screaming from the center stage of the Pentagon, I'm the king of America, following the president, firing Defense Secretary Mark Esper via tweet. So he fired him via tweet. He didn't call him and say you're fired because he didn't want any controversy about it. Esper can't talk back to a tweet. He knows Esper ain't going to get on to Twitter and start a Twitter war with him. Esper ain't going to do that. So he figured the tweet is the best way to go here. So that's what he did. Amid his Attorney General Barr authorizing investigation into substantial allegations of voter, Barr puts it pretty diplomatically, here, the way he finagles this, of voting despite no evidence widespread fraud, and the president authorizing investigation into substantial allegations of voting irregularities. You see these commercials. You've been irregular lately. You see these commercials for all kinds of laxatives. You have a problem with regularity. He's talking about irregularities in voter fraud. So, he must have been watching those commercials. Got it, picked it up from that. Anyway, irregularity, big problem, and and the president announcing Esper's replacement will be acting secretary. So President Trump has indicated a while ago that he wanted acting people, gives him more flexibility. So he's putting an acting man in charge of the Pentagon. So he's going to be acting, and President Trump he's going to be acting for President Trump, you know. So maybe he'll even get an Academy Award for his acting, you know, because with the Defense Department, there's a lot of things. The Defense Department has a lot of decisions to make, and that's going to be under the thumb of President Trump now with acting. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there in the next month or so. So there you go. I'm the king of America. The dream. This is a dream, basically. There's the Pentagon. 5 sides of the Pentagon. 5-sided building is the Pentagon. Okay. Now here is senior Republican Senators Lindsey Graham and Chuck Grassley, this basically getting a little itchy and a little worried about President Trump not cooperating with President Biden and in terms of national security and briefings on intelligence and also on the coronavirus situation and many, many things threatening America. So they're getting a little worried now about that. So they are trying to coach President Trump into coming forth with that. But they say he can go on his present course is doing fine with protesting, not recognizing he lost the election and not recognizing President-elect Joe Biden as the incoming president. He's doing pretty good. That's okay with him. But now he's threatening their political future because, God forbid, there's another 9/11 or catastrophe attack, then they're going to hang it on the Republicans, and they're a little worried about that, you know. So they want to, they're really going to fight for making sure. They're going to try to coach President Trump and maybe make him an offer. So this is the offer that I imagined that they could make him to come forth with being cooperative with the transition, President-elect Joe Biden's transition team. Okay, being cooperative. So here's a replica model of the White House with the Trump sign in front there. And you know, probably they're offering him here to build a replica, to raise funds to build a replica somewhere. I don't think he'd want it I think he'd like it in northern Florida somewhere, you know. Some nice White House in northern Florida would be nice. They got the warm weather, and you got the White House. What could be better than that? And then you got Mar-a-Lago. You get bored at Mar-a-Lago, go to the White House for a little while, go back to Mar-a-Lago. You know, maybe things like that. You know, you get an outbreak. If you get an outbreak at the White House, then you can always switch down to Mar-a-Lago. Or an outbreak in Mar-a-Lago to White. Get an outbreak in both places. Or then you go to a motel somewhere. You know, you go. I don't know. So anyway, here's that. So here's the replica, and here's how the cartoon went. Mr. President, you go on tweeting on voter fraud and refusing to accept election results. That's fine, but give Biden access to intelligence briefings, because if you don't, and we have another 9/11, we Republicans are going to be in a political shithouse, because they'll blame it on them that you didn't cooperate, and it took time, and they lost a lot of time in catching up to what had to be done, and this and that. So they don't want that hanging over their heads. So they're going to try to coach President Trump. And this is what they do. And here's President Trump here saying he liked the idea, I'm sure, of another replica White House to live in northern Florida somewhere. You know, warm weather, White House, pretty good deal. You know, paid for by contributors. You know, it's a deal. But one thing, if I have to fire the whole damn Department of Defense, CIA, and FBI, all you Republicans must dummy up. Like Don Rickles used to say, dummies. So Don Rickles used to say, dummy up, you know, because you dummy up means you're already a dummy. So if you're going to talk, you're going to show the world you're a dummy. So you better be quiet and dummy up, you know, dummy up to what you are, a dummy. So don't say anything that's going to show that you're a dummy. Dummy up, and then you go dummies, and that's what they're sitting there, and President Trump is expounding on that. Basically, there he is saying he'll take the White House, but they have to keep quiet and dummy up about and they have been doing so far. They've been doing very well with that. The Republicans, they haven't said a word about President Trump not accepting the results of the election. So they're right on course, and they're following their modus operandi to a T, as they've been doing. So there it is. That's Chuck Grassley and Senator Lindsey Graham and Senator Chuck Grassley, senior Republican senators. Okay? These guys been around a long time. They know the landscape, so they are charting their course. You know, we gotta protect the flank, which is now protecting their re-election. Because if there is a 9/11 and they blame it on the Republicans, they ain't gonna sail through that one. There it is. The Trump White House in northern Florida with the Trump sign. And there it is. Okay. Now, here is, can't leave out Kaylee, you know. I'd be really remiss if I left out Kaylee, you know. I could be brought up, you know, what kind of cartoonist are you? You haven't done Kaylee, you know. It's just like, you know, I don't know what. I can't even think of an analogy to that one. You know what, a cartoonist who hadn't done a drawing about Kaylee, a cartoon about Kaylee, I know it's, I don't know. I don't know what to say there, but anyway, here it is. There's Kaylee, the American flag. There's President Trump watching her. And Trump watching his press secretary, Kaylee McEnany, making baseless claims of illegal votes in the presidential election to the extent that Fox News cut away from the Trump campaign press conference. Neil Cavuto, he cut her off. He says, you know, he must have gotten in some hot water over there at Fox News for doing that, you know, because that's a CNN thing, you know. You don't do that at Fox News. You don't cut off the president's press secretary. But Neil Cavuto, he said, he blew his stack, so he must have taken some heat for that one. Anyway, so here's President Trump watching her, and he goes like this. There he is watching Kaylee with thumbs up. And he says, "Fantastic job, Kaylee. Nothing to Biden fake transition team. It's not going to give him anything. Nothing. I am the true winner of the election, even if Biden gets a love letter from North Korea." So basically, there's Kaylee. Here's Trump saying, well, that Trump always prided on himself as one of the achievements of his administration is he had a good relationship with North Korea. So if Biden went to, even if he got a good relationship going with a love letter from the leader, it still wouldn't measure up to him being you know, the next in line to take the presidency. Even the love letter of North Korea wouldn't do the trick, you know, because he just determined that he's not going to recognize President-elect Joe R. Biden as the president-elect, the next president of the United States. So they asked him if he'd show up to, you know, he probably won't even go to the inauguration, you know. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting inauguration. You know, everybody walks down. I have memories of a kid watching Eisenhower with Kennedy in 1960, you know. I remember those. I remember that day, a cold day. Everybody was shivering. I remember that, and there they were, and you saw that, and you knew Eisenhower wasn't too happy because his man Nixon lost, and that was his vice president. But still, in all, with all that, it went on beautifully, and everything went fine, you know. So that ain't going to be a re-performance. There's not going to be another performance of that. You can be sure of that. So anyway, President Trump will probably say, my inauguration had more people than he did. He'll probably come out with a statement that I had twice as many people at my inauguration than Joe Biden did. So there you have it. That's he'll tweet. He'll probably come out with a tweet on that one. So that's a future tweet that I just kind of threw in there, possibly. Anyway, so now we're moving along here. We're coming down to the top most popular cartoons on Twitter for the week. And here we have our Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. You know, Now, here's Mike Pompeo, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and here's Russian President Vladimir Putin, who watches from the Kremlin, from inside the Kremlin, the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo saying there will be a second Trump administration. So he's going as far as to say that he's beyond calling it fraud. He's saying we're past that stage. It's already established there will be a second Trump administration. Days after the presidential election was projected to be won by Joe Biden. So the counting was still going on at this point. And all the signs were that Biden was going to win, but he went ahead of everybody, and he had his own prediction because he felt it was fraudulent. And even though these trends showed that, the trends were based upon fraudulent data. So that's what he's basically making that allegation in his statement, you know. So here's President Putin with Stalin here. Roosevelt used to call him Uncle Joe. Joe Stalin, he used to call him Uncle Joe. Here's Uncle Joe. And President Putin picked a photo of him. I think I once read that President Putin has developed a sort of a fondness for Stalin in his bravery and what he did to fight off the in World War II to save Russia from being defeated. So from the Nazis invading. So anyway, so here's that. Here's off the photo. Okay, and I gotta put my mask on, folks. They just told me that. So I'm putting my mask on right now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here's Mike Pompeo. Russian President Vladimir Putin watches from the Kremlin. The U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo saying there will be a second Trump administration days after the president was put. I said that already. Okay, so here is how it went. Comrades down, let's listen to our Trump man, Pompeo. So he knows that there's a very close relationship between Pompeo and Trump. So he's saying, let's listen to Pompeo. And here's Pompeo, there will be a second Trump administration. And he's alluding to Comrade Stalin here. Trump can still win. The world is watching us. We're ready for a win too. So President Putin's always ready for a win. You see? So if there's chaos in the United States, and this is blocked by some sort of a legal maneuver, you know, with the electoral college or something like that, then President Putin will be able to sit back and watch the action and say, well, that's America for, that's the American democracy, you know? He could say to his people, well, would you rather have chaos like that, or you have me in power, there's no question, I'm in power in this place. Nobody's going to say that I lost the election and go on TV, on Russian TV, and say I lost in Russia, and say I lost the election. That ain't going to happen here. We got stable government. So he could make that argument to his people now. So that's how, there's Pompeo. And there. Okay. And there is Stalin smiling on the wall there, taking it all in. Okay? All right. Now, here's numero uno de la semana. Now, this one, President Trump reportedly appoints Rudy Giuliani to take charge of the president's legal battles. So Rudy Giuliani is now the central. He's like the Eisenhower of D-Day. Eisenhower was to D-Day. What Giuliani now is to Trump's legal battle. You know, he's taking control of it. You know, battle to overturn the presidential election results. Apparently, after losing state legal battle, Giuliani now will lead Trump's last stand at the Supreme Court, a conceivable preview. Okay, so here's Rudy Giuliani approaching approaching the Supreme Court. Okay. And he's saying, this election has been extremely troubling from the beginning, with all the mail-in ballots prone to mass fraud. So what did the Democrats do in Michigan as an example? They covered vote counting center windows with assorted cardboard objects so observers could not see the count rooms. They couldn't see into the count rooms, you know. They had binoculars and everything like that, and they couldn't see through the cardboard because that obstruction. Here is Exhibit A. So Exhibit A Christmas, here it is, Exhibit A, and that's a Christmas large cardboard cutout stand-up of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Because Christmas was coming up, and somebody might have wanted to put up some cheerful reindeers for Christmas. So that might have been the reason. That might have been the thing. They just put things up on the windows, not even thinking about that, you know? That's Exhibit A, Rudolph the Red cardboard image of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stand-up cardboard. That's Exhibit A. Okay, that was number one on Twitter, numero uno de la semana, number one of the week. There's the Supreme Court, Rudy, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Exhibit A. Okay, I want to thank you folks for watching my cartoon video of the week, and I hope you all stay well and healthy, and eat well, sleep well, and just stay relaxed and do the best you can. Stay out of crowds, and just hang in there and just think positive thoughts, and think ahead that someday we'll be looking back on these days as that we went through a lot, but we came out of it. And I know it's tough seeing these things on TV where every week they show people. It reminds me when the Vietnam War was going on. I was going to school, and they did the honor roll every week, and I was watching TV and working hard in school and driving a cab and just getting by, and I saw the honor roll of boys, you know, my age who were killed in Vietnam every night. Bill Jorgensen in New York City, Channel 5 used to do the honor roll. I remember it like it was yesterday. So tonight the night in the news, they do the people who died, and it just brings back those memories to me, and it's very, very sad here. And I hope that these vaccines that they're coming out with, people will take them, and that they will be safe. And let's hope for the best. And I think it's important we think positive, and not give up on science, and not give up on our country. And I want to say God bless, and God bless America. And I'll see you for the next countdown. Take care, folks.